All praise again, brothers and sisters. I want to just deal with something real quickly. I was looking in the comment section of the lesson I just did on the kingdom, and a brother asked a question about, what if your employer requires you to work on the Sabbath 3 to 4 times a month? And, when I first I just wanted to touch upon that very briefly. When I first got into the word, I was in college and I had 2 jobs. I was working in the mornings at UPS, and then I was working in the lumberyard at night, and doing it in the morning, I was talking like from 4 in the morning to like 8 o'clock. And then I would go to class, and then I would work in the evenings to like maybe 10 or 11 or something like that. Okay. And oftentimes, and I was just getting into the word. I hadn't been attending any congregation or anything like that. So I was just learning. Okay. But I understood from the scriptures what it said pertaining to the Sabbath and what I was supposed to do. All right. I wasn't in an area where I could go anywhere. I wasn't around anybody that was trying to deal with the word of God and was trying to it was kind of difficult, and then they would require, again, certain days that they wanted you to work on Saturday. Okay. And, and that's a difficult situation to be in. And one of the things that I did was I prayed, man. I prayed about that because I prayed that the Lord would get me out of that situation. Okay. And ultimately, I got out of that situation. And so when I did have the opportunity to keep the Sabbath, I kept the Sabbath. I couldn't go anywhere. There was nowhere to go. I was I don't know how many hours I was, maybe 3.5, 4 hours away from the nearest place. I can go 3 hours, 3 hours from the nearest place where I can go to worship. So there was no place I could go, but I kept the Sabbath by myself. All my, friends and all, they were partying and doing all that stuff or whatever. I kept the Sabbath because it's important to keep the Sabbath, brother. And, what you need to do is pray to the Lord that he gets you out of that situation and look for avenues to get out of that situation. And I understand being in that situation because I was in that situation. And like now I have a job and it comes up where the feast days come up, and I have to take those days off because ultimately you do have, freedom of religion in this country, so they say, right? But it's to the point, I'm gonna be honest with you, right now, it's like, even if they said, well, we require you to work on the Sabbath, otherwise we're gonna fire you. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe I have enough faith in the Lord that the Lord will make a way. Man, the Lord has made a way for me so many times. Even though I know it would be rough, that's not an easy thing. I know that he will make a way for me. So what I would say is pray to the Lord to get you. I'm not saying go up and quit your job. That's not what I'm saying. But start preparing to keep the Sabbath. So perhaps you can, I don't know if you're near a congregation or whatever. It doesn't sound like you are. But first of all, start keeping the Sabbath that you can keep. Okay? Then take the steps to be able to honor the Sabbath on your job. Okay? Because I understand one thing, man. The Lord has provided for me and made a way for me so many times. I understand that he's made a way for me and my family. I'm truly grateful. And he did that. He put me in positions to be able to sustain my family. I know he did that. He made ways for me. So I'm at a point now where if that did take place, I would have to trust in God. If something is sensitive, you're gonna lose your job. I would have to trust in God that he was gonna continue to provide for me and my family. But I understand at that point when you just learn, you really don't know. So what am I gonna do? I'm coming into this knowledge do what you can at this point. Try to take steps and preparations to keep the Sabbath on your job. You know, and that's just my suggestion. You know, and I've seen people do that. Been on a job, one keeping this, and been managers at a job, and then was trying to keep, and was keeping the Sabbath now, and working a tremendous number of hours, but keeping the Sabbath at the same time. So, you know, pray that the Lord puts you in a position to where you could serve him to the best of your ability, because the Sabbath is important. It points to, that 7-day of rest points to the time I was talking about, the time of his millennial period. Just let me read something. I won't be long. This is Hebrews. And I thank the brother for the question, because it's a good question. What do I do, you know, in this time? Brother, Jesus Christ is saying yesterday, today, and forever. He doesn't change. Matter of fact, before we go to Hebrews, I want to read something about the Sabbath. This is Exodus. See, first of all, what he gave to Israel was for all people. You know, they had something to say nobody can be saved, but that would make God a respecter of persons. If you want to serve him, you can. But he says something about his Sabbath, which is important. It's not just for like this time, as if it's different or something different applies in regard to his Sabbath. It says in Exodus 31, in verse 13, it says, "Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbath ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore." So basically the Sabbath shows that you are set apart by God. Then it says in verse 14, "Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people." So it was a serious thing. Now, granted, we not carrying out capital punishment, right? When you see the man that was picking up sticks on the Sabbath and was put in war, and they said, "What should be done unto him?" The Lord said, "Stone him." Understand something about God. Like I said, Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. There is no variableness, not the shadow of turning in him. He thinks the same way about the defilement of the Sabbath then as he does right now. That's what we need to understand. That's what we need to understand. Only thing, man is not righteous enough to carry out capital punishment. That's why he told him he was without sin, let him cast the first stone. Because they weren't even executing judgment properly. If you catch a woman, I'm talking about the example when they caught the woman in adultery. If you caught the woman in adultery, you knew who the man was. And the law said the man, the adulterer and the adulteress should be stoned. But nevertheless, verse 15, 6 days make work be done, but in the 7th is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Because again, Sabbath means rest, and it points to the time of rest. It says, "Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death." Verse 16, "Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath." Now listen to this. "To observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant, an everlasting covenant." So it doesn't matter what time it is, this time, that time, the time to come, keep the Sabbath. We were even reading about in the Millennial kingdom, and he's still talking about the observance of Sabbaths. So verse 17, "It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed." It's a sign of sanctification. And he said, you're supposed to observe it throughout all your generations for a perpetual. Perpetual means everlasting covenant. So understand, that shows who you're serving. See, Sunday worship doesn't show, it shows you don't know God. Weekly Sunday worship shows you don't know God. Okay, now let's go to Hebrews. My brother, it's a good question. What do I do in this time? Pray for the Lord to make a way for you. And that 1 or 2 Sabbaths that you can observe right now, do them to the best of your ability. Do them to the best of your ability, and pray for the Lord Make a way for me, Lord, to serve you, and I'll serve you. And start taking steps. Start taking steps on your job to put yourself in a position to observe the Sabbath. You know, that's what you should do. This is the last place on this, Hebrews, because this points to something. It points to something in the future. This is Hebrews. This is Hebrews. I'm going to just get to the chase. Hebrews 4, cut to the chase. Hebrews 4 and verse 1, it says, let us therefore fear, lest the promise being left of us entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. For unto us was the gospel preached as well as unto them. So he's talking about them, that those that came into the wilderness. And he's told them, he said, when they murmured against him and did these things, he was grieved. And he said, it says, I'm going to read Hebrews 3 and 10. It says, so I swear my wrath, they shall not enter into my rest. But the rest he was talking about wasn't them. He's talking about when they was in the wilderness. He's not talking about them going into the promised land at that time. Talking about in the days of Joshua. That's not what he's talking about. Let's keep reading. Hebrews 4 and verse 2. It says, for unto us was the gospel preached as well as unto them. So the tidings were preached unto them as well. It says, but the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. So faith is nothing new. That time, this time, you need faith to please God. That's one of the themes in Hebrews. But it says in verse 3, for we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath that they shall enter into my rest. Although the works were finished from the foundation of the world. What did he do on that seventh day? He rested. Okay? But you have to understand, he doesn't need rest. That's rest is for our benefit. And that rest, the Sabbath shows that you are in line with his plan. The feast of the Lord, the Sabbath of God, showed a plan of salvation for man. The Sabbath shows the rest to come. The Passover shows that you need to come up under the blood of a perfect lamb to escape the wrath of God. Pentecost, Jesus Christ, the first fruits, them that are Christ that is coming. It points to the resurrection. Memorial blowing of trumpets, all those things that are done at the sound of a trumpet. The regathering of Israel, the resurrection, the going off to war by God, all that's at the sound of a trumpet. The Day of Atonement. How do you have atonement with God? Without the shedding of blood, there is no atonement with God. Right? So that atonement of that lamb, who was the true lamb, who was Jesus, he is our atonement. The tabernacles, right, points to the regathering of Israel, but also the gathering of his children into the God family. A time we're going to share this flesh and blood tabernacle for a new one. But it says in verse 3, for we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, as I have sworn my wrath, that they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world. For he spake in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise, and God did rest the seventh day from all his work. And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest. Listen, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached enter not in because of unbelief. I'm going to skip down a little bit. Because it says, for if Jesus, verse 8, for if Jesus had given them rest, then would he not afterward have spoken of another day? Okay? So it's talking about Joshua in the old days. He didn't give them rest because how is he speaking of another day in the book in the Psalms of David, excuse me. So he tells us that the Sabbath points to a rest to come. Verse 9, there remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God. For he that is entered into his rest, he also has ceased from his own works, as God did from his. Ultimately, you have to cease from that you want to do and focus on God and be in line with his plan of salvation. It said, let us labor therefore to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after that same example of unbelief. Okay, so we need to have works, so to speak, to enter into the rest to come. And the rest to come is that 1,000 years of peace, where it tells you in Isaiah, he tells you, this is Give me 1 second. Isaiah. No, it's right here. Give me a second. Because we have a rest that we're trying to enter into. We'll just go here. Just trying to find another place, but we'll just go here. This is Isaiah 11, and we'll pick it up where we talked about this in the lesson before. We just want to pick it up here. We did it in Isaiah 65, though, I believe. Or did we read this? I don't think we read that. I think we read it in Isaiah 65. So Isaiah 11, it says, I think I mentioned this. So it says, the wolf in Isaiah 11:6, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. So this is talking about the ultimate peace in the millennial period. And we're going to pick up something else that shows you that this is pointing, that the Sabbath, which means rest, or Shabbat, that means rest, is pointing to this time. Verse 7, and the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. So it's peace at this time. It says, they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Yeah, I think I quoted this. Verse 10, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an inside of the people. To it shall the Gentiles cease. It's talking about the Lord Jesus. Then it says, and his rest shall be glorious, brothers and sisters. The Sabbath shows that you are in line with the plan of God that points to the rest to come. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to say peace to you. And thank you, brother, for the question. And it's my prayer that you will edify.